I've been journaling daily for the past 6 months, and this is everything I've learned so far. What's going on, guys? My name is Dan Davis, and I'm the creative director here on DansTube.TV. And like I mentioned, 6 months straight of journaling daily on the reMarkable Paper Pro. This wasn't my intention when I initially got the Paper Pro. I actually thought that this was going to be my productivity tool, but the fact that it's not connected up to any apps, I don't get notifications, I can't multitask on it, it's forced me into this mindfulness space where I have to intentionally sit and hold space for myself. And so unintentionally, I've gone 6 months straight without missing a day of journaling every single day. If you haven't seen my review of the reMarkable Paper Pro, then definitely check that out because I've got a lot of thoughts that will go into more depth in that video. This video is basically my reflections and everything I've learned and how you as a creator, how you as just a human being, someone experiencing consciousness, how you can make the most out of the practice of journaling and what you might actually get out of it. The Paper Pro is an e-ink tablet. I've basically used technology to help me with the journaling process. Now, journaling was never something that I was regularly into. I've always had like a diary where I'd kind of keep track. Journaling is something that I've never truly had a practice around. I've never done it as a daily ritual or routine. It's always just been something that I've occasionally done, but very rarely been committed to. So I have a calendar that I'll write things in, and a lot of the time it's plans, right? It's like what I've got coming up, if I'm seeing a friend, if I've got some video stuff to do, maybe some client stuff that I might be working on. That's kind of the focus. It's always work-based, but the act of journaling is you actually being vulnerable with yourself, you actually checking in with yourself, monitoring what's going on in your internal world, your external world, and just being more aware and noticing more of what's happening for you. So interestingly enough, technology has been the thing that's actually helped me adopt this as a daily routine. And so I've used the reMarkable Paper Pro now for 6 months, and I've been journaling every single day. So the journaling process has been different over the time, over those 6 months. But what I would say I've noticed so far is, for me, I find that I've got so much going on in my head. I've got so much going on just in my day-to-day, even in my week, right? I'm going from seeing clients in my counseling practice to then working with brands and doing video content. I'm seeing friends, I might be hanging out with the puppy, going for a walk, going to the gym, maybe there's some other plans on a weekend that I'm doing with friends, whatever it may be, right? So there's just a consistency, the humming of busyness, a productivity of me doing things and trying to fit things into my day. So what can happen sometimes is I'll get into this mindset where I'm almost bullying myself, going, oh, I should have done that, or why didn't I do that, or whatever it may be. And that can almost pull me down a little bit. It puts me into a bit of a I'm not enough, I'm not doing enough kind of mentality. But the first thing I noticed when I started journaling was that it actually just allowed me to reflect on my day just as a witnesser, right? I was just an observer and I was just witnessing what I had done through the day. And it allowed me to actually see, okay, so there's a lot of stuff that you're doing that's really valuable that you're not actually assigning value to. So you going out for a walk with your puppy is extremely valuable. But previously, when I was writing in my calendar, it would be something like, create this video, see X amount of clients today, catch up with a friend. And they're kind of the things that I would categorize as, oh, that's important and that's productive. But there are those other things that you do that sometimes you just forget about or you don't notice. Like if you're doing chores, let's say you're hanging out washing, maybe you're cleaning the house or you're doing something like that, it might just become a blur and you might forget that you've done that in some way. And then you can very naturally, or I can very easily go into that path of, oh, I didn't do enough, or I should have done more, or what did I even do today? So that was the initial thing I noticed. Like I was able to just take a zoom out and just look at the day and go, wow, that was a lot that I fit into this day. And a lot of it was extremely fulfilling and purposeful, but it hasn't in the past been assigned as that. It's always been assigned as like, oh, I wasn't doing enough. So I find that was the initial thing. It slows me down, it allows me to reflect on the day and just notice. And a lot of the language I was using as I was writing, which is like a counseling process, is actually just becoming the observer. I was just saying, I noticed today that I did this, and I noticed that it brought up a little bit of anxiety in my body. And I noticed that that created some tension around my chest. And then I might write something like, and I've noticed that this story is a theme that keeps showing up in my life. So I was able to actually take a zoom out and just look in on my world and go, okay, this is typically what brings up that bullying mentality. This is what brings up that anxiety in you. This is what brings up X, Y, and Z. And so that was the initial process. That's what I noticed as being quite helpful. And then I started reflecting a little bit more about the emotions that I would notice through the day. You know, what was coming up within me, again, what those themes were, what those recurring themes were, and what the things are that I'm assigning more value to. And a lot of the time it's work-based stuff, right? I've noticed that unconsciously I've assigned a lot of value to work, like how productive I am, how many clients I'm seeing, how much money I'm making, how many videos I'm producing, how much impact I'm having on people. And that's all well and good for a period of time. Like, that's great to put my focus towards here and there. But that being the main metric of what's valuable is definitely not healthy, right? So that's something that actually helped me reflect on this. The journaling process has helped me see, well, it is really valuable to just be with friends. Yes, it's really valuable to go out with your puppy and be with nature, go in the sun, spend some quality time with your partner. Yes, it's valuable just to sit and do nothing or just play a video game, right? And previously, like I said, that bullying mentality, that inner critic from myself would creep in. But this just allowed me to reflect a little bit more about what actually is important. So that's the process that helped me, was actually just noticing things that are coming up, noticing the themes, being really honest and vulnerable and raw, and actually just identifying, like, what are the emotions that are coming up, what are those emotions triggering in me, and just noticing it. Constantly going back to noticing, trying not to assign meaning to it, but just noticing it, observing it, and seeing it as an experience, as opposed to something that I needed to change. And so a byproduct of me being intentional, giving myself some space and time to reflect, I think it's actually helped me identify who I am as a person on a little bit of a deeper level. It's helped me see what I value, what's important to me. It helps me see, like, what I'm insecure about as well, and things that I feel might be a weakness within myself or a vulnerability that I'm worried about. You know, it allows me to actually see my experience, right? And how I'm actually internalizing those experiences that I'm going through in the day-to-day. I also implemented a gratitude paragraph. So at the end of each day, I would just check in with myself and go, what am I grateful for? Sometimes it would be, I'm really grateful for that quality moment I spent with my partner. We sat and we just chatted openly about life. That was really valuable. Or it might be, hey, I'm noticing my mood is shifting. I'm noticing a positive increase because I'm getting more sun. So when I'm out and about getting some sun and I'm noticing that that's having a shift in my mood, I'm feeling better within myself, that's also something to be really grateful for. You know, I might be grateful for the friendships I have, or grateful for the life I lead, right? For the things that I get to do in my day-to-day, the dream life that I'm living, right? The fact that I have the choice to work from home and I get the opportunity to work with amazing brands and clients. And, you know, that was something that started becoming a bit more of a theme again, is that gratitude. I had to give myself the time to reflect a little deeper, not just to be like, I'm grateful for, and then putting a person's name, but actually saying, I'm grateful for the quality time I spent with this person. I'm grateful that I have friends that will do, you know, that will check in with me and will ask questions. Those kind of things started becoming quite apparent, and it started helping me really, like, unpack some of the values that are important to me, which is connection, which is open communication, you know, creativity as well is another thing that's really important to me as well. So I find that was something that came out as a theme regularly, and I was able to just see it because I was writing about it and reflecting on it regularly. In terms of the routine of, like, when I was journaling or when I am journaling, it's typically of a night. I find that there were a few moments throughout the 6 months where maybe I'd miss a day, sometimes I'd miss 2 days, right? Maybe I went away and I didn't take the reMarkable with me. What I would do is I would reflect on it of a night when we were away, and then when I would come back, I would do a couple of journal entries and take my time. You know, I might sit there for about an hour and I would just go through the last couple of days and really sit with it and reflect on it. And what I noticed doing that, actually, which is quite interesting, is, again, previously I'd just write in my calendar what I was doing. So it might be, hey, I'm going away to the coast this weekend, let's say. And then I would come back and that would be it. The thought process would be, oh yeah, I went away. And I would kind of forget those little moments. I would forget, oh, we sat out and we watched the sun go down, right? Or we had a really nice cheese platter and just chatted about life, or whatever that is, right? And so those little moments get lost if you're not intentionally sitting with them and thinking, wow, that was really valuable. Or, hey, I really appreciate spending these moments with these people. So that was something that I noticed when I wasn't doing it and then I'd come back and revisit it. I would be really intentional about sitting in those moments that typically would just fall by the wayside, and they would just be blips on the radar. They would just be moments in the weekend of I went to the coast, and that was just captured in an experience of I went away, as opposed to like, what were those moments? What did I appreciate? What was it like to have a bit of time away from, business stuff and from seeing clients? What was it like to just be with yourself and be with your partner? So that was another thing I really appreciated, and it made it like very, very clear to me when I had those little gaps and then came back how valuable the process is. What I've been able to identify is that the process of journaling daily definitely helps me reflect more. It helps me have an intentional space. Like when I think about what I'm doing in the average day to day, I might be sitting with, let's say, 5 clients in a day, right? So my energy is fully focused in on those clients. I'm not on my phone, I'm just with those people. And then in between the gaps of seeing clients, I might be jumping on my phone to check some notifications and doing some notes, some case notes for the clients that I might have been seeing, right? And then at the end of the day, it's kind of a blur, like it's all gone by. I then have dinner with my partner, maybe play a video game with a friend or whatever it may be. And that's kind of it, right? Yes, and then I'm trying to fit in videos. So I'm like, oh, I need to find a gap here to go and do this. And so that can kind of create a little bit of this like rat race mentality where I'm like feeling like I'm hustling and I'm always on the go and I'm never settled. So yeah, like slowing down any sort of process, being a bit more gentle and intentional with yourself is always a very valuable experience. And so that's another thing that I've noticed, just sitting with myself, having my phone in the other room and just giving myself 30 minutes, maybe an hour every night, just to sit and take my time to write. Even the process of writing is really fun. Like I found that when I initially started, I was a little bit critical of my handwriting because, as probably most people watching this video, we don't write as much. We're digital, right? We're typing or we're texting. So to actually sit with my handwriting and do that process of reflecting as you're flowing those words out is just a different experience. It allows you to sit with it in a different way. It works on a different pathway in the brain. And it's just such a unique experience that has been lost, right? It's an art form, writing. And so that has been something that I've also appreciated, just noticing that I can take my time. It's not a rushed process. I notice that when I'm typing, it's always, I've got to type really quickly to move to the next email. And these are all like subconscious processes, right? Or when I'm texting, messaging someone or dealing with something, it's always really quick. It's done, next one, and it just happens that way because of the amount of stuff I have going on. So to really slow things down and take my time with what I'm thinking and the words that I'm trying to write, that's also been really valuable because when I started it, it was a bit challenging and it was a little confronting in some way. But now it's a process that I actually look forward to at the end of the night, and it allows me to just think about the day, sit with myself, and yeah, in some way honor myself, in some way give myself the space to be intentional and to be vulnerable. So yeah, it has been really, really helpful. I think it's helped with just the process of being a content creator, the process of me like developing my counseling skills and figuring out what those next steps are, like what I want out of life. Because there's definitely a shift that's going to happen soon where I am, going to shift what my week looks like and what my day-to-day looks like, just to put some more balance into my world. Because I give so much to clients, I give so much to my videos and people I work with, and I need to give more to myself, right? I need to allow myself more time to just be. And so that's, I think, another byproduct of journaling. It's really allowed me to see what is important and what I need to put some more time towards. So anyway, guys, those are all of my thoughts. That's everything I've learned from 6 months of journaling daily. And it has been a very valuable process. It's something I'm going to continue doing because I can see the value in it. And I think it helps me become more of a grounded person, really understand my values and what's important to me. And I think if you haven't done it, like try it. Try the process, find yourself caught up in thought a lot, or you find that you're a little bit kind of lost in that rat race, that grind of the day to day. This can break it up in a way that will help you really reflect on things and be more gentle and intentional with yourself. So I'd love your thoughts. If anyone's a regular journaler, let me know down in the comments below. I'd love to know what your experiences have been like. If you've got any questions, let me know. If you've got any recommendations of other processes to journal, because There are many different ways of journaling. Mine has kind of just been the experience of the day, right? Like a consciousness dump of everything that happened, everything I was feeling, what I was noticing, things I'm grateful for. But there are many ways of journaling. So let me know as well down there. And I hope that more people start journaling. I'd love your thoughts. Let's start making this a daily routine for all of us. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, guys. I'll chat to you soon. Peace.